Over-delivery. I strongly urge any of you who critique, analyze, or discuss games to remove this word from your lexicon. Do not use it unless it is to specifically denigrate the very concept of over-delivery, and chastise the AAA games industry figures foolish and lazy enough to even consider using the term. Fundamentally, the phrase over-delivery is based in shady and manipulative ideology, centered around receiving as much money for as little effort as is humanly possible. Any video game maker using the term is effectively saying, this thing we did before, which was highly regarded across multiple demographics, was, in fact, very time-consuming, difficult to achieve, and expensive. Thus, rather than trying to live up to new expectations, we request that you not only accept the bare minimum from us in future, but expect nothing more, all while paying us an ever-increasing premium up front, as well as ad infinitum via our constantly expanding and predatory in-game storefronts. Most gamers are beginning to realize that this philosophy is anathema to the magical spark that video games can deliver, especially after recently being presented with such incredible examples of panacea such as Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate 3, and Tears of the Kingdom, to name a few. It is a heartbreaking revelation for most to hear the following words from Bungie CEO David L. Bungie at GDC 2022. But we need to be mindful of the patterns and the implied future commitments we've set for ourselves each time. This is tough, and this is the one, honestly, that we're still grappling the hardest with. It is hard to tell a team that has extra cycles and energy and want to do something amazing, that totally would be amazing and awesome for the game, to tell them, we should not ship this because it is an over-delivery that will set us up for failure on future trains. This is a bold admission, one which proves that the aims of most of these large-budget video game developers is not a fun and engaging experience, but one that is as formulaic and addictive as possible, so they might recursively extract vast sums of money from its audience. They recognize that it is not simply a difficult task to actively stifle the passion and energy of the people they hire to make the games, but that doing so leaves their product hollow, unfinished, and ultimately frustrating. If your first thought is, surely developers don't want players frustrated with their product, you'd unfortunately be dead wrong. David goes on to say, even when that passion is being expressed as anger or frustration, like anger is not the opposite of loving a game. Loving and hating a game are like 2 degrees off from each other, and they both come from passion, from people who are highly engaged. The opposite of loving a game, the thing that will kill your game, is apathy. Here, David L. Bungie admits that frustration is essentially a core goal for the final product for which his studio is responsible. Frustration is a sign of engagement and passion, which are arguably the 2 most prominent driving psychological forces behind monetization. Sure, our players may be frustrated that we did or didn't do XYZ, but they're still spending money, aren't they? This is why it's so important for consumers to become aware of this ideology that lurks behind most of the gaming industry nowadays, so they might finally break themselves free of the perpetual cycle of unrealistic promises, anticipation, excitement, inevitable disappointment, followed by more promises. Too many studios have grown comfortable with their ability to string audiences along, while nickel and diming them every step of the way. And too many audiences have become conditioned to accept this as the norm. Hopefully, the continued release of smaller and more focused passion projects begins to illuminate this pattern to gaming audiences so that they can begin to meet it with the necessary level of apathy, which is the only response capable of ending it once and for all. We should demand better from our entertainment mediums and stop passively feeding into borderline evil systems in the hopes that they one day become not borderline evil. However, it's not until these manipulative and predatory gaming business models become financially unviable that they will stop being perpetrated against us, and it's up to audiences at large to vote with their wallets and stop giving corporations the benefit of the doubt.